Welcome to episode 1329 of the Multifamily Collective. So let's carry on from the last post that I did on application fraud. It's not new to our industry. It's certainly not new to commerce, but fraud in the multifamily space, even prior to the pandemic, was ramping up, and people were doing everything from fake pay stubs, doctored pay stubs, to fake IDs, to doctored bank statements, to doctored whatever it took to get into an apartment community. And one of the things I started to think about um, is that there are things out in the world that change industry forever, big catalysts that give cause for change. We could argue that COVID was a big catalyst that really accelerated the pace of fraud, especially for all the in-person, or not in-person, but rather virtual tours, or actually being able to rent an apartment without ever interacting with a human being. It certainly laid the groundwork for additional fraud or more frequent fraud in our industry. So one of the things that I thought about was basketball. And one of the things that really changed basketball, back in the day, there was not a shot clock in basketball. So teams, I think Princeton University was very famous for this. They would set up the four corners offense, and they would literally pass the ball around until they had the best shot they could possibly get. So you'd see basketball games with scores in like the 20s. Even the big powerhouse Georgetown versus Princeton, I think it was Princeton, I'm pretty sure it was Princeton, had just fits about this four-cornered offense, and the delay it caused in the game, and the low scoring that it caused in the game. And it was literally fantastic fundamentals, but very boring basketball. So they implemented a shot clock, and it changed the entire game. I heard Shaq say the other day, if you lowered the rim in NBA basketball just slightly and introduced the dunk, girls have dunked in basketball games, but if you introduced the dunk into the game of women's basketball, all of a sudden you would change the game of female basketball, and you would attract more fans, etc. So it was a big catalyst that changed the NBA, that changed college basketball, etc., etc. There has to be this catalytic moment for the multifamily space in the way of fraud prevention, and I don't know what it is. I can go all the way to the extreme in that you need to prosecute people who commit fraud to get into apartment communities, no matter the nature. But certainly you would need to check in with your local attorney, your local agencies, to make sure that that is something that is even possible. I'm not sure it's the answer. I'm not advocating for it, but I do think something needs to change as it relates to this issue that we're having in the industry, because it just in my head I correlate it with stealing, but it's really putting a drag on our industry. And I just believe that there are so many other agencies out there in the marketplace. There are agencies out there in the marketplace that are begging to give money away to help and to assist the people that are truly in need as it relates to getting into an apartment community, or into housing for that matter. But it takes work, right? It takes effort. And my imagination tells me that a lot of people, some people, not a lot, but some people just don't want to put in the effort to get there. They'd rather run the risk of being found out as it relates to creating a fraudulent application than to go through the work and the effort to get help and assistance to get into apartment community. I don't know what the answer is. My imagination tells me that it is a coming together of the industry, of the community, agencies and services, government, etc., to come up with a solution that would really put this fraud thing to rest. I'm certainly open to conversation, getting a conversation started. I'm sure there are many conversations that have already started, that are in motion, but we do have to find a solution for this. And I don't know that stacking tech on top of tech is the answer either. At some point, we have to get to the root cause. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.